Good morning and greetings from Indianapolis, Indiana. We rolled in around 2:30 last night. It's kind of a brutal we were slow getting out of New York and then we got hit by traffic and it kind of took forever, which is somewhat unusual actually. That's not traffic in Newark's not unusual, but we definitely it was kind of a weird thing. So that sucked. And last night generally was not particularly good either. I don't know if this can become a staple of tip off. When you're on the road, you have so many stories. So I will share my little big city, small town kid in a big city. There's this fabulous sushi place in New York. It's gotten rave reviews. It's incredible. And we were staying up around West Side, around 57th. It's East Side, around 43rd. So that's quite a walk. And I was like, all right, it's a beautiful day yesterday in New York. So I went out to go walk there and get there for lunch. And I didn't dress up. I'm wearing jeans and an Under Armour jacket. I look fine for Utah. And I walk in. It's a little Richie. And I'm like, one. And the man, nice Japanese man, looks at me like, reservation? And I was like, no, don't have that reservation. Just one. Oh, we can't take you. And I was like, oh, darn it. I'm like, really? He's like, sir, 2 weeks out. 2 weeks out on the reservation. So I was like, all right. Hi, I'm used to walking into Lakai, and not Lakai, the fancy one, Lakai, the Asian place across next to Strong Audi. And those places just whenever I want to. I forgot I'm in New York City and I need reservations. So the small town kid went to the big city yesterday and kind of screwed up. So we'll make a reservation coming up. That would have broken me anyway, but it's supposed to be this just unbelievable sushi spot. And I figure if I'm in New York City for a day and I do like sushi, I probably should take the time to go have an amazing meal. I feel like I should just tell more stories rather than talk about the game so we could have this nice friendly relationship and not have to talk about the game. Should I tell my Radio Disney story? Or do you want me to dig into the game right away? So my Radio Disney story has actually gotten waited too long, and it's not as good as it probably could be. It's more of just that I'm crazy. Uh, I was waiting at a chairlift at Park City for a buddy, and every chairlift plays music. Well, for some reason that morning, the payday chairlift at Park City was playing Radio Disney. Now, this is not something that you would regularly recognize, except for the fact that I was running a little early and I was sitting there. And unfortunately, I recognized this within 5 seconds of stopping. And I don't know if you have kids and if you listen to Radio Disney, but if you're not mentally prepared for Radio Disney when it comes on, it's awful. I mean, if you get in the car, you got your kids, and okay, I'm listening to Radio Disney, you've mentally prepared for the squeaky little voices and the high pitch this and the bad remixes of already bad songs, and you're prepared for this. I was not. I was not prepared for Radio Disney. So now I have hundreds of people funneling by me because I'm waiting in the chairlift for my buddy. And every second Radio Disney is on, it is getting worse and worse and worse. And it's all I can hear. And it's becoming more annoying and more annoying. And it is bothering me more than it probably should, I'll admit. But I was not prepared. There are things in life that you have to be prepared for. And I was not prepared for this issue of Radio Disney. And what's killing me is nobody else has noticed. I mean, everybody else is putting their skis on, going on the chairlift, and go. Nobody else is noticing. I am sitting here having this singular body experience of this song bugging me and realizing not another soul in the area. It's just background noise. They haven't even picked up on it. They're talking to their buddies. They're ready to go skiing. They're ready to get on the trail. And here I am just being like Chinese water torture pounded by squeaky little voices on Radio Disney. Finally, I text my buddy. I'm like, would you hurry the heck up? I'm listening to Radio Disney. We get there, it's playing. It's like one of its worst moments. It's like some Miley Cyrus remix. And I'm like, dude, hurry up. He's like, why? I'm like, can't you hear this? Not a word of it. I seriously felt like I was on Candid Camera or Punked or something like that. I thought somehow they were funneling this music into me and only me and nobody else could hear it. All right, let's talk. That's enough. Hopefully that made you laugh. Bad loss. Um, this is going to become a reoccurring theme for the rest of the year. Uh, we have a very, very slim margin by which we're going to win games. We don't have a player on our roster who I I'm not sure we have a player on the roster if you rank the top 30 players in the NBA gets in. Maybe Paul. Maybe not. I mean, as Paul has elevated himself, we're also seeing a little bit of where he has some deficiencies that make it so that um, he might not be a top 30. But top 30, I mean, he's about to hopefully make an all star team. That has a little bit to do with just how Gasol has played this year and how Nowitzki has played this year. And there's a bunch of other pieces to that puzzle, but he may make the all star team over some guys who I think, if you're really honest about it, he's are probably a better player than he is. Um, so we're just, we're not a highly talented team. And so the margin for us is very slim. And so even on a night where Carmelo and Amari are missing, we probably were more talented last night, but not by huge amounts. I mean, really, not by huge amounts. Um, you go run down the rosters person for person last night, and I mean, Jeremy Lin played better than Devin Harris. I'm not sure that you take Jeremy Lin instead of Devin Harris, but you probably take Landry Fields over Raja Bell. And their starting three last night was Carmelo, and then Billy Walker comes in. And you probably take Gordon over Billy Walker, but I mean that's not right now. It's not huge. Jared Jeffries is pretty darn good. I mean, I'd probably take Paul Millsap over Jared Jeffries, but Jared Jeffries is pretty good. Al Jefferson, Tyson Chandler, right? And then, as much as we like our bench, Steve Novak brings something we don't have, and so I mean, just yeah, hey, they're missing Carmelo and Amari. We should be able to take advantage of it, but be honest about where our margin of talent is. It's not, it's not huge. We've been winning games by playing hard and tenacity and playing right, and I think as the year goes on, we're going to see a few more nights like this, which kind of bemuse us, where we can't figure out why this has happened, and it's either because we're just a little off, maybe a little beaten up physically, and that's what happens. Nobody played well last night though. Paul was, yeah. I mean it was bizarre to watch Paul last night. I don't know what happened. He did not have his usual energy. The body did not react correctly. I'm sure his mind was where it's supposed to be. He's always such a gamer. He still puts up a semi decent night, but I mean, just things he's the lead dog, so you definitely put a focus on it. And Coach Nasalki always talks about if you're one first or second best player don't play well, you got very little chance to win in this league. Um, and they didn't last night. I was last night might be. I'm a big Favors fan. We all know this. Some of the post moves he's been having recently are showing great development. Quite honestly, last night might have been one of the more stark and disappointing reality to how far he still has to go and how young he is. I mean, last year was really a wasted year. And here was Favors the last few games, developing his post moves, making some plays, and now all of a sudden he has a 6'5" and 6'6" Bill Walker on him. And not only did he not have the move to beat the quickness, he didn't have the experience to know what to do there, it seems. But what bothered me more is what I didn't see out of Favors at that moment was him saying, "Give it to me. I'm going to abuse this guy." That's what I would have liked to see. I would have really liked to see some tenacity, some fight, I am going to humiliate this guy right here and right now for the fact that he thinks he can guard me. And I didn't see any of that. And that, I don't know. There's nights where let's be honest, there's nights where you see the pieces that say, oh, he could be really good. Last night was not one of those. Last night was a night where I think you look at it and go, uh-oh, maybe just a regular guy. That was too bad. Teams have definitely reacted to Cantor a little bit. He's not getting nearly the same amount of space and time. And I'm curious to see how long we stay with this split rotation of Paul Millsap and Al Jefferson, Cantor and Favors. Um, I think it's getting exploited, and it might be something that has to change. Now, it doesn't mean you have to change starting lineup, but maybe change the way you do your rotations a little bit. The Millsap Favors combination is not rebounding at all. Didn't last year. It's a real problem. It got heavily exposed in the high pick and roll. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then Favors and Cantor last night. If you when you're going to Favors, it's I would like to believe he can beat that guy at 6'5", 6'6", but he didn't. And so maybe you really needed to have Millsap or Jefferson on the floor there. Probably Millsap playing the 4, and have him go against Bill Walker, and have Jefferson and have Favors play the 5, and split this thing up a little bit, where Favors maybe subs in early for Jefferson, plays with Millsap, then Cantor comes in. Maybe they still play together, but then Jefferson circles back, plays the 4 with Cantor as the 5, or however you want to do it. But I'm not sure that having these two bigs, kind of Jefferson and Millsap always together, and Cantor and Favors always together, is going to hold itself as a long-term answer. We talked about this yesterday on Tipoff, that I still think there's some major evolutions for this rotation to take place. High pick and roll was an enormous problem last night, and here's what is a bit disconcerting. This was an enormous problem last year. If you recall, in that late December, Portland goes and runs high pick and roll to us against us, and we can't defend it, and then we switch Millsap, so then they post Millsap up because he's too small, and kind of our defensive world falls apart there at the end of December last year. And here last night, pick and rolls from the top. And the problem with the pick and roll from the top, let's see if Jeremy Lin, let's say he's going right to left because he went left all night. Jeremy Lin takes the dribble left. Al Jefferson has to pop out and try to prevent him from going anywhere. The problem is now you're asking Al Jefferson to defend 20, 22, 23 feet away from the basket. And that is not an area where Al's very good. What the Jazz have been able to do this year is push the ball to the wing. Ball gets on the side. Now you force the baseline. Now Al only has to guard between the sideline, the baseline really, more than the sideline, the baseline and where his defender gets back. It's a much smaller area, and then his defense isn't as bad. Same thing for Paul. Paul didn't do a very good job with it last night either. Lin was able to step back in and split that double team. There's just so much space out there. And then the other problem is if it's Jefferson and it's on, say, Chandler setting the pick, Chandler sets the pick, Jefferson comes up, Chandler rolls to the basket, the next big, Millsap, has to come in to try to help Chandler. He's too small. And now Paul can't do anything about it. And then after getting burned by a few threes, Paul didn't want to come in. So that's a real concern. That's where the stretch 4 is a very valuable piece, what the Jazz ran with Memo for all those times. It's where you need to be able to spread the floor. Jazz don't have that. Their three-point shooting is last in the NBA. But that defense right there, the Jazz better figure out. They're going to see it again tonight. They'll probably see it a ton with Westbrook on Friday. Where do we go after that? Memphis, Mike Conley, maybe with Mike Conley. But frankly, everybody can run it, and if we can't stop it, we're going to see it endlessly. And it doesn't look to me that we can stop it right now. And our personnel, this is another reason why you might have to shake up some of the personnel there. So, yeah, disappointing night. That Jeremy Lin story is really incredible. California State Player of the Year, undrafted, goes to Harvard, or unrecruited, goes to Harvard, has to send out DVDs of his tapes, and now is, like as popular as the New York Giants, frankly. Let's go to Locke tip-off questions. I got a bunch from Alec Lamb, and his first one, there were a bunch, but I'll take this one. Is Devin Harris struggles a problem of not fitting well in the system or just an ordinary slump? I don't know. It's getting pretty long. I'm not sure what's going on with Devin. But I also, he's not an outside shooter. I mean, he's just not a good shooter. I mean, there was just a crushing play last night. He's wide open, straightaway three. They're not even guarding him. And he missed it. I mean, they're just not guarding him. And I mean, you got to make that shot. I mean, you have if you are not uh if you are not a can't if you're not guarded as a guard, you don't have to be guarded at all. That makes it really tough for everybody involved. I guess is how I'd say it. Do I think the Jazz will be at 500 at the end of the week? Well, what are we right now? I mean, I think we're losing. I think it's hard to find wins right now. I mean, I think we could lose our next three and play pretty well. I guess is the way I would say it. Is that so? Yeah, there's a real chance we lose our next three, and we've played well. Um, so we're. I go back to the talent issue, guys. Um, just you gotta have high level players, and that's what we're hoping Faves and Canner and Hayward at some extent, Burks are going to develop into. That's that's the desire. Burks back to back DNPs, first time that's happened. It's not great, and frankly, in my opinion, CJ has to play a whole hell of a lot better than he's playing if he's going to be taking Burks' minutes. Burks has to understand values of possessions. I mean, Burks is not helping you win right now. The way he's playing, he's got a lot of talent, but he doesn't quite get it yet. But there's an argument there. I would not disagree with anyone who ventured down that road. All right, that is tip off. That was not a good night last night. Indiana's really good, and I'll have stuff for you throughout the day at Locked On Sports. Follow me on Facebook, Locked On Sports. Follow me on Facebook, David Locke, for life stuff, and Google Plus. Please Google Plus. That's actually I think there's a big future there. So, all right, talk to you guys soon. Thank you very much for tuning into Tip Off. I do appreciate it, and hope you're enjoying it. And talk to you soon.